All right, I think we're live. So, welcome to the 21st meeting of Junto Club. Junto Club is a podcast and meeting experience that was devised by Xu Zhang. And every week, he, along with myself, Michael Petnati, and Matthew O'Brien, discuss philosophy, science, politics, and a variety of other topics that interest us to better ourselves by better understanding ourselves and the world around us. So, so I'll turn it over to Shu. We've been off for a few weeks. So,
yeah. Things happen in life, I guess. Yeah. So I guess I just want to add that we are inspired by Benjamin Franklin, of course, the original Junto Club. And of course, that's why we always start with a quote from Benjamin Franklin. And today's quote is, quote, "A child and a fool imagine 20 shillings and 20 years can never be spent," end quote. What does that mean for you guys?
I missed the entire thing. Can you repeat it?
A child and a fool imagine 20 shillings and 20 years can never be spent, end quote. So 20 shillings is now, I guess, $20 or something like that back in the day. Right. I don't know. Yeah.
I see.
So I think it's more focused on the time, okay? Because even if 20 shillings was a lot more than $20, most people know you can spend money pretty easily. But I feel like it's trying to point out how easily you can burn 20 years of your life and, not really realize what you're doing, maybe. I mean, you're spending it anyway, right, as you live. So I feel like it's basically a roundabout way of saying 20 years goes by fast.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, a child. So $20 to a child is a lot. Like it's an amount of money that, I guess they, they don't have a sense of what $20 is, which is relatively nothing. I mean, back then, I guess it was. I mean,
something. I don't know how what's an equivalent. 20 shilling could be $200 or $2,000. I don't know.
Right. Well, that's still not a lot. I mean, that's still not
to a child is a lot.
Yes. Well, that's what I mean. A child doesn't recognize what whatever it is. Okay, say it's $2,000. So a child is like, whoa, that's more money than I would ever need because I just want a candy bar that's one. So, and they have a very a poor understanding of what thinking long-term thinking, right? And similarly, a child is like, I'm 8. 20 years is literally more than forever, for me. So it's so a child is sort of going to be like, oh, 20 years, you can do anything because it's literally more than I've lived in my entire life. But a person, as you get to be 40 and 60, you're like, oh, 20 years is something that goes by. When you think back 20 years ago, you're like, oh, that wasn't that long ago.
So. Oh, that's pretty good interpretation. That's very different from what I have, because I was really confused in the beginning. I thought about it, and then I thought I came to understanding. But I think your interpretation is much better. It's so a fool, for example, just look at a fool that sees 20 years can never spend. So he's thinking, oh, 20 years is a long time. That is that he can do whatever he wants. Is just such a long time spent that he doesn't see. Okay, yeah.
Right. So a fool, I think you that's sort of the second half of this. Is a fool is like a child in that way. A fool is just oh, I'll burn through. I have money. I have $2,000, so I'm gonna make a down payment on a car, even not thinking about the $300 and $400 monthly payments or so, because $2,000 is, or I guess I'll get a used car for $1,500, even though my car works fine now. Or I don't know. This the car example is obviously bad, but so
you'll buy a new Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting a new Xbox because that's only $700, or whatever it is. Yeah. So the $2,000 can go by very quickly, even though it seems like a lot of money. So I think someone who doesn't have a sense of what money, or how much money things are, or how much time things take, doesn't necessarily appreciate it.
Yeah, or I guess a fool that he things now. Oh, I have long time to live, right? So I can just waste time right now partying and do stuff, and then we just not being productive, and then kind of end up wasting time. And then 20 years go by really fast. When you are there, you realize, oh man, I had lived so long, but I haven't really done anything, which is, I think, exactly how I feel right now in this point in my life, in a way. Right, so that's good. Actually, yeah, that was good too. Actually, that's good. I don't need to go into my interpretation because I think I like your interpretation much better. So let's go with that.
Okay, I feel like this is the first one I feel good about. So.
And that's good.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mike. We should keep a running tally of who wins the
who
Benjamin
wins
Franklin quote interpretation.
Yes. 2 out of 3 votes for who wins. So.
All right.
So what's next, Shu? Are we talking about news or are we?
Yeah, I have any. I want you guys go first before I go in mine. If you have any. There's a mini topic now I want to talk about before you. I mean, but you can, if you guys don't have any, I can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any strong feelings.
Okay.
The Bruins are in the playoffs. I know. I bring in sports just to be ignored.
Bruins. Who is Bruins?
Boston Bruins. Boston Bruins hockey.
Oh my gosh, hockey.
That's right. So,
we are in Atlanta. We don't care about hockey. We don't have hockey. Yeah.
That's true. You couldn't keep a team. The Winnipeg Jets are in the second round. Winnipeg was very happy to claim what was the Atlanta Thrashers. So
what Winnipeg? What?
Winnipeg Jets. Like they were the Atlanta Thrashers, and like because the stadium could never like sell out, they moved to Winnipeg, where of course it sells out every game.
Oh, in Toronto, right? They moved to somewhere in Canada.
Well, yeah, Canada. Yeah, it's west of Toronto. So,
okay.
Just above Michigan, I think. So.
I didn't know you were this in sync with hockey, Mike.
Oh no, hockey. Hockey is the sport so I guess this is an interesting idea that we do not need to talk about for long, but I guess I'm very into hockey, even though no one in my family really was that into hockey, because it's sort of the first sport I saw when I was a kid. Like I turned on the TV when I was like 4 or 5, and the Colorado Avalanche were playing someone who I don't remember.
You remember this?
Yes. And I was just like, oh, this is really cool. Like, the game was very exciting. And so like I forced my family to be into hockey for like a lot of my I would say honestly I'm far less into sports just generally now because life is busy and I have other things I want to focus on, and I never became a professional athlete. But yeah, I mean I was very into hockey just because I was 4, impressionable, and that one game was cool. So
I don't think I remember anything from when I was 4.
Yeah, me either. I think my first memory is probably like 7 or 8 or 10.
I feel like that's decidedly later than it should be.
That's what I'm saying.
10's a little much there.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I already say I'm a delay,
No, wait, how old are you in kindergarten? Because I remember stuff from kindergarten.
You're like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I was 6 or 7.
Late bloomer shoe.
Yeah, just delay in general. So, did you turn on the remote yourself?
Yeah.
Oh wow, your first time turning on the TV, and then there was hockey.
Well, I don't know if it was the first time I was turning on the TV, but I was like, this is different. Like, I mean, because occasionally, right, like the playoffs, like right now, the Bruins will play on like NBC, like a network, station. So it was probably, a significant game. Yeah, they were just probably on like a station my parents would have left it on, or I would have left it on, and it was serendipitous. So.
Well,
it shows you how impressionable children are.
Yeah. Thank God Purge was not on TV when you turned it
Yeah,
on.
that's right.
I remember my dad when I was like 6 let me watch one of the Alien vs Predators and it gave me nightmares, but
Oh, really?
It worked out.
That sounds like a perfect segue into our main topic, aliens. And
well, do you want to do the mini topic show, or do you want?
Yeah, I do.
We'll do the other topics first.
Yes, we are talking aliens and extraterrestrials today, but Shu.
Yeah. But I want to go back to your you say nightmares. How was it? Very bad.
I don't think it was very bad,
Oh,
but
okay.
no.
Well, I was
Gotcha.
raised on horror movies, so I certainly had my fair share of slashers and everything. But I think my dad prefaced all of those just by being like, "Remember, if you're scared, remember that there's like 100 people standing around that camera, like the camera that's showing you this." And I was like, okay. So
I see.
sometimes it was useful, sometimes I guess it wasn't. But
Wait, I thought you were talking about Atlanta Thrashers.
well, yes, the Atlanta Thrashers were the hockey team, but slashers are horror movies.
Got you. All right.
Wait, hold on, real quick though, Mike. Did you ever play hockey, or were you just watching?
No, it wasn't a sport I stuck with long because it was expensive and my ankles always were shitty. But I did play when I was like between like 5 and 7 or 8. So I skated every day when I was pretty young. So I was the only time I can remember winning a game is when I was goaltender. I was very proud of myself.
So, you blocked some sick shots.
I made like 3 saves, and we had the shutout.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Doesn't training? I thought playing hockey. Now you say you were angle was kind of crappy when you were younger, but I thought if you train it more, you make it stronger, right? If you use it more, especially when you're younger, right?
I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean,
I feel Mike was just a wimp and quit too early.
Yeah.
I mean that's possible. It's just I don't know. I feel like my joints maybe are just not like because my ankles like I don't know because I mean I skated all the time. Maybe I just didn't do enough like strengthening exercises for that particular part of my body.
Yeah.
But I mean I was 6, so I mean
6. Yeah. You quit at 6. What?
Well, no, I quit. I mean, I played hockey for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Still,
it was an expensive sport, and I was, I guess I just wasn't into it enough. So basketball became more my game. But,
which is renowned for not needing much ankle strength.
Yes, that's right. Well. If you're just plant and shoot type person, I guess you can get away with it. And if you happen to be bigger than most of the people you're playing against,
is that what you do? You just kind of hold the ball up and be like, "Hoop."
Yeah. Well, there's a reason I was not a college athlete in basketball. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, Shu. Einstein's contract. What is that?
All right. So in honor of someone just got married recently, so. Well, I want to talk about Einstein's contract, which is actually a marriage contract with his wife, right? So here are a few things from the contract. You will make sure that my clothes and laundry are kept in good order, that I will receive through my 3 meals regularly in my room, that my bedroom and study are kept neat, and especially that my desk is left for my use only. And you will stop talking to me if I request it. You will undertake not to belittle me in front of our children, either through words or behavior. Now, this is Einstein's contract to his wife. What do you think? Thoughts?
That was the whole thing?
Not whole thing, but there's a few things like, stuff like that. But yeah, what do you think?
It did not age well. I'll say that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it bothers me because like it makes me like Einstein less simply because I feel like a lot of like very smart people have a reputation and I get it. Like if you spend a lot of time thinking about a topic, like if you're like a prodigy of a certain topic and that like is basically a defining aspect of your character, like for your life, it can be very hard to develop in other areas. And, and have like an emotional intelligence. But I hate it because it's like, I mean, like, I think people go off people like Einstein when they're like, oh, like smart people often have a reputation of being like standoffish pieces of shit. And that's like, and it's like, that's what that contract sort of says to me, that he was probably not a great husband.
Yeah.
Well, so I was Googling this because I thought I remembered it. And Einstein was married twice. First to one of his students, and then to his cousin.
I remember the first cousin aspect. I didn't remember the student. So he married his first cousin after?
Yeah, whose was the contract for? Was it for both?
No, so yeah. So he is giving a context. So yeah, before everybody go and say that Einstein is a jerk and really sexist or something, but here's the context. Basically, this is after that he's already married like 13 or 16 years, 15 years. They already have children, and I think Einstein at that time they were in a bad relationship, so he kind of want a divorce, right? But his wife want to stay together because for the children's sake, right? So that's why Einstein draft this contract, say, hey, I will stay with you, but we're not gonna. You may do all this stuff for me, And then she actually agree. So, but they still end up actually divorced like a year later. But yeah, but actually Einstein actually gave all his like Nobel Prize money to his wife because actually that was in the divorce agreement, which is written 3 years before he actually got the Nobel Prize. So he kind of already predict that he's going to get it, kind of very confident that he's going to get it. Right?
Or he didn't think he was going to get it, so he's like, "Yeah, I'll sign this
Right,
off."
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, so this is the time they are already in a really bad a point of their relationship. So that's why the contract probably is not as bad as it sounds initially if you don't have the context, right?
Right. No, I mean, I guess.
I don't know. Now it sounds to me like he just wanted to end it, but was like, I'll put like really unfair standards, and if you follow this ridiculous agreement, we can stay together. I don't know if that helps his case from my perspective.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so he was a super genius at physics. He might have been kind of a jerk in his personal life.
Yeah.
We all have flaws.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, it's true. I mean, that's a cornerstone of mediation, like relationship-focused mediation, is both parties need to actually want to save the relationship, and then you can work out terms by which to do it. But if he just wanted out and that was that, then he should have just ended it. So.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
That's my little any topic I want to talk about in honor of someone's marriage recently. So there we go.
All right. So now we're turning to our main topic, aliens. This is something Michael wanted to bring up because he said he was probed once.
Yes.
So tell us about that story.
Well, it was a hospital room, and but no, I mean, I guess the only reason I mentioned it as a potential topic, to be honest, is there's been a reasonable number of stories. The conspiracy community online loves aliens. And so I guess it's just sort of a topic that comes up a reasonable bit, and people like to imagine there have been aliens here or whatever. But I guess the government increasingly over the past maybe 5 or so years has admitted yes, there have been UFOs that we admit there have been UFOs, so unidentified flying objects. So, and certain videos have come out that basically show certain things, and some of these videos are verified by the government as sort of UFOs, so unidentified flying objects. So I mean, I guess I know a lot of people have gone back and forth. I mean, I've heard on different podcasts that I've listened to people who are very invested in aliens actually having visited here, and as well as I guess as well as people who are 100% skeptics, they absolutely haven't visited here, and sort of people I guess in between that want it to be true but don't think it's true. And as these videos have come out, I guess they've debated them, and I guess there's even people who have their career is literally being online debunkers for these types of videos. So one, actually, I don't remember his name, but there was an interesting guy whose expertise was in computer graphics. He actually he was actually a computer scientist who developed video games. and he was very familiar with like how essentially how things render on film.
Mhm.
And he was able to talk about like so there are videos of like pilots who see like these different things in the sky, and they're like they're Navy they're Navy, Air Force, like military pilots who obviously know what they're doing, like when it comes to flight and like the physics of how like our technology can move, and they see something they can't explain. And he explains like I guess how what they're seeing could be like relatively like explained away without necessarily being extraterrestrial. So I mean, I guess I just thought it was an interesting topic. I mean, in the sense of like, what do you think about I mean, I guess there's a couple of different angles. I mean, I think we're probably going to be on the same page when it comes to have aliens visited us here, and like, are there aliens sort of in the universe, galaxy, whatever? But I also think it could we could talk at least a little bit about like what it would mean to encounter aliens, and will we encounter aliens, I guess, in the near or distant future. So
yeah, but recently I guess just want to talk about the UFO thing. Like recently, actually, just in the last couple of weeks, actually, is on the news quite often, right? And I think just a couple of days ago, NBC actually showed an actual video of like talk about the aliens, UFOs, right? And I actually just saw it earlier, and there was the video of like pilots, the Navy pilots, seeing like some kind of like in their screen. I don't know what they use, using radar or whatever, and then they see some kind of like, or just camera catching some kind of like just a black circular thing in their field of view, right? Just moving
Right.
very fast and then just disappears. Yeah. Also, I guess that's anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, those are the videos that have been coming out, I think. I mean, you're right, it has been in the news, I think, a lot more recently. And I mean, some people, like some of the more conspiracy theory people, are arguing like this is in a way like prepping, like normalizing the idea that maybe we have encountered like extraterrestrials or like intelligent life, and this is the way like the government can get us ready for a big reveal. I mean, for one argument that I've heard that I buy into a lot is basically our world over the course of the last 15 or so years has seen cameras proliferate like a huge amount. So basically there's cameras everywhere. Everyone has a camera on them. And the number of videos of UFOs has stayed the same or gone down compared to like 30 years ago or 50 years ago. So I guess that is an indication to like, I mean, we have videos of almost every, from the most amazing positive things you've ever seen to the most horrific negative things you've ever seen. So it's like, I'm skeptical that, like, I feel like if aliens were at least visiting us regularly, there'd probably be more of it. Like, I like, so it's hard for me to like believe these videos like right off the bat. But I mean, I do get that it's like, well, we have experts seeing them, like seeing these things that they can't explain in the air. So like, as I say, this debunker has like, and I as much as I have some background in computer graphics, like I didn't watch the videos closely enough to like recreate what his debunking, and I'm sure you could Google it, but like there are explanations for these videos that are plausible. So I guess in my mind it's like hard for me to say like aliens are here or aliens have visited, but
yeah, I'll take a chance to jump in now. And I feel like aliens is a lot like end of the world predictions, where they keep being wrong, but then there's always like the next one, right? So like I know there's two videos that came out recently that I actually saw like on CNN or something. Like it was on like major news. One of them was like these green triangles kind of flashing, and then the other was that black spot from like a Navy ship. And as far as I know, I haven't heard of like what's the explanation for the black spot that moves. But like I did see a video where someone just like filmed like a plane in the sky with a camera that has a triangular aperture and it's like out of focus, and it made like almost the exact same sort of like triangular blinking thing, because you couldn't really see anything of the plane. You just had the blinking light. And like with this type of camera, it just comes out to look like that. So like right away, like that's one of them, just like, okay, like that's done. And I actually saw a video. These are a little less UFO, but I saw a video about some of the things in the past that physicists found like in the universe where they're like, oh, this is life. So like one example was, I think on Venus, they found some chemical that on Earth, they like, as far as we know, can only be made by organic processes. And one of like the early landers found like a lot of it. So they're like, oh shit, like, is there a lot of life on Venus? And then like later on, they found errors in the statistical analysis, and they got more measurements. And it's like, it wasn't that high in the first place. Another time they were tracking like a small object that they could see, and they could see it was accelerating. So they're like, oh shit, like this must be a spaceship, right? Because like it's actually, they could tell that it was accelerating as it passed through our solar system, which sounds pretty interesting, except it was just the sun was basically had ice on it, and the sun was hitting it and like dissolving it. So it's like shooting off steam, which was acting like a jet accelerating this asteroid. So like that's a phenomenon. And this might've been like 40, 50 years. I don't remember exactly when, but it was like in the past, right? So like now it's like, oh, now we're familiar that there's lots of things in space with water on them and ice. So this is a phenomenon that can happen, and it wasn't anything. And there was other examples I saw that stuff like that where people are like, oh shit, like, is it this? And then it turns out there's actually another explanation. And this has been repeated, many, many times, both in physics and with like videos for UFOs. So yeah, I mean, so if you've seen the Navy ships where it's got the black spot flying back and forth, I don't know how that's explained right now, but I would not bet on it being aliens, right? There's like a lot of stuff between physical phenomenon and just equipment malfunction that could like potentially be the cause.
Right.
And yeah,
you're
talking about in this, yeah. I guess going back to the computer graphic debunking using computer graphics, I think Matt mentioned like could be just equipment malfunction, could be in a camera and a sensor, like could be just like malfunction in an instant or something, right? So
right. No, I mean it's definitely. I mean it's just light falling on a lens. I mean, there are things that play tricks on our eyes. I mean, there's certainly plenty that can play. Even if the camera isn't necessarily broken, there's plenty that can trick a camera. So, yeah. I mean. Yeah, so I mean, I basically so as I say, I think we're all probably on the same page where it's unlikely that aliens, very low probability aliens have actually been here. And yeah, I mean, there's certainly minimal strong evidence of that. But go ahead.
I would say it is quite interesting though. On the other side of the argument is that I think Matt mentioned that, if you just look at camera of an airplane, like maybe turning a different angle, you can make a circular shape. I think one argument from the other side is that actually, because the disc, like whatever the black thing and the triangle thing actually move. If you're studying the physics, it actually move in a way that it cannot produce by modern technology. Right, so then that's one of the argument they made. We cannot really explain how it moves, right? Even though the aircraft, they try to track it, try to follow it, but it's sometimes just the way it moves just cannot be done by modern physics or modern technology. And that's why they were really, saying that this could be a alien object or something. Yeah,
sure.
And I've seen that, but. Like that already comes with a bunch of assumptions that the thing you're seeing is a physical object at that distance, that the size they think it is, which means like moving left and right means it's moving in space that much. But all of that could be wrong, right? Like it could just be a weird thing with a sensor. It could be, a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes I guess.
It could be some sort of massless phenomenon. Sorry, have you ever heard of ball lightning?
No.
Ball lightning is a real thing. It's like little balls, it's extremely rare. You can Google it, but it's like little bits of basically like sparkling electricity that will like move around as a ball in the air for a short period of time, maybe like 10 or 15 seconds. It sounds made up, right? And someone could see it and easily be like it's magic or aliens or something, but it's just like a super rare physical phenomenon. So it doesn't move like a basketball being thrown, because it's not like a object like that with mass. So like, I mean, it could just be something weird.
So how big is the ball?
They're usually small, I think. I haven't looked at this in a while.
Tennis ball?
I'm Googling ball lightning.
So what happens when you touch it? Like, do you get electrocuted or something? Get shot?
Probably, maybe. Is it still actually?
But yeah, sometimes the simple explanation is probably the right answer, like right explanation, right? A lot of people just jump to like really complex explanation for like phenomena they don't understand, but sometimes the simplest explanation just could be just it, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's maybe the more, because I mean, we all agree that, I mean, like there's that equation that always, the name always escapes me, where it's like the number of viable planets, the number of solar systems, and you multiply, and basically, I mean, it says that, the number of places where there could be life means that the probability that there is intelligent life elsewhere is pretty high.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we all agree that there's probably alien life somewhere, even if it hasn't been here. But I guess that's maybe the more interesting part to me, if we agree that like these videos have an explanation that's non-extraterrestrial. But I guess is, why do people marry like, what would it mean if there are extraterrestrials, and why do people marry themselves to like the idea that there is? So,
well, I feel like most of the hardcore alien stuff is like the same. It seems like the same like mental patterns of any conspiracy, right? Like there's a secret, something that's trying to cover it up and control you, and they're trying to hide the truth, right? But they're figuring it out because they're too smart. So I feel like, that doesn't seem that interesting to me, because there's like some psychological flaw in conspiracy theories, like something wrong in their brain a little bit. Sorry, conspiracy theorists who are listening to this, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, going back to your probability equations, I mean that's one argument I used to like buy in, like a lot of physics. That's when they try to explain, do you think that the existence of aliens? And they were just taking, probabilistic thinking. Yeah, there is, because there's so many trillions of planets out there, right? But I would say right now I kind of think like, okay, probability, there might be life, right? But it might not be intelligent life, right? So the probability of life is already really low, and probability of intelligence is even lower, right? So there may be aliens, but it's probably maybe a cat, just plenty of cats. I don't know. So
I wish. No, I mean, I would disagree with you on one point. I feel like the probability of there being any life is really high, right? Like we're discovering more and more Earth-like planets. So it seems to me almost unfathomable that we don't find life somewhere else, right? At all. But
Gotcha.
but then it becoming intelligent life, and then also intelligent life that can like travel between solar systems, and that happens to be close enough for this to be relevant, because the galaxy is, incredibly massive, and as far as we know, there's no way to beat the speed of light limit.
Yeah.
So, unless it was in one of the handful of stars like close to us, it would just, they would have had to be traveling for so freaking long, right? Are they going to actually send a ship? Or they wouldn't even know, right? They wouldn't know we were here, because in the 200 years how long have humans been sending out radio broadcasts?
Maybe 60 years. Maybe.
Let's just say give it a good 100. That's like a handful of stars have been reached by those radio broadcasts. I don't know the exact count. The closest star is 4 light years away, right? Roughly. And then the vast what?
I said 1. Or well.
Are you talking about the sun?
1 AU, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Ignoring that.
Yeah.
So I think we're pretty secure that there's no intelligent life in our solar system. I think we got that one locked down. But
that's fair.
Like, even if they do exist, they'd probably just be so far away that from their perspective, they could literally be looking at the Earth and they're seeing it like thousands of years ago, because the light's that old. And, they're just like, this looks like a planet that's green, but maybe they even see that there's life. Let's say this is a super advanced civilization. They're like, oh, there's life on this planet, but they could have no idea there's intelligent life yet. Which might be, again, and if they have life and we have life, there's probably a lot of planets with life then. So would we be special enough to send a ship over?
Right.
Also, why would the ships just like go down and fly? That's what like if it's a civilization that can do, intergalactic space travel, right? I'm pretty sure they could just low orbit and get everything they need, right? Like why would they bother flying down and then just wiggling around, but not like stopping and talking to us, right? Like if they're going to get that close and involved, like, they'd probably either interact or they'd probably just chill in orbit where it's like pretty secure.
Good point.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, basically, I think it takes 8 minutes for light to get from sun to the Earth. So, yes, but
I was ignoring the sun when I said the closest stars.
No, I know.
But speaking of aliens, do they exist? At least they do exist in the U.S.
Okay.
There's probably like, I don't know, 10 millions of them.
Uh-huh.
10 millions of us.
Oh, there's more than that, but yes, for using a homophone joke.
No, it's because when I got my permanent resident car, right, the green car, I actually got an alien number, right? It's called alien number, right? And then I forgot a number now, but anyway, I even got alien number. I said my first time see it, I said alien. What? Awesome.
No, I mean, there are lots of alien residents of the U.S., but and every other country probably for that matter. But I mean, no, I mean, I think like the alien movies always like say like they come here for like our resources or something like that. But I mean, basically, I mean, if you're traveling across galaxies, I mean, you must have some type of arc that is powered by something we don't know about, and you're not going to just find on Earth. So,
yeah. Also, like every solar system has planets. Like, I don't think there's anything that special on Earth except for intelligent life. Like, we know that's at least there's only one planet in our solar system that has life. So it's probably less likely to have life than not. So that's special. But there's like tons of planets and asteroids with resources, right? Like I always find that a bit of a lame, way writers try to justify things.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you brought up intelligence again, because I'm not entirely certain like if you have life, I'm not entirely certain intelligence. Like I would say time is maybe the rare thing. Like you need life for, hundreds of millions of years, and then I'm not entirely sold that intelligence is that out of the realm of possibility.
What do you mean by time, though? What do you mean by time is the weird
time
thing?
Before things go extinct?
Okay.
Like you need a habitable planet for, on the order of billions of years. Well, this is only semi-related, but have you ever heard of the Great Filter? The idea of the Great Filter?
No.
The basic idea is so it uses that equation you brought up, Shu, like, given the probabilities and the number of planets and stuff, there should be lots of life, right? So the argument is, so there must be some filter that's stopping intelligent life from just there must be something that's stopping it, right? So then the question is the filter behind or in front of us? Because there's a bunch of things that could have happened that could have stopped us from getting to this point. Like all multicellular life has mitochondria, right? So mitochondria are this weird thing where little bacteria came inside like bigger bacteria. Sorry, biologists, if I'm butchering this, but the basic idea is like they were a different life form. Mitochondria have their own DNA, but they do a very specialized like job in our cell. And like it was only with these new complex, it's like eukaryotic cells or something like that. Only then did we actually have life become complex enough to support multicellular life, which is obviously necessary for intelligent life. So like how unlikely was that, right? That could have been like a total fluke. So maybe you have planets that are just blobs of bacteria and amoebas and shit. And so there's other things like that, or like life evolving in the first place, right? Like how likely is that? And then there's like filters later, like, it's like nuclear weapons or other stuff. Like, does life become intelligent and then have a tendency to kill itself because, Is that what happens? Like, like organisms that have violent conquering tendencies are probably the ones that survive, right? Because they kill off other things, and then do they end up killing themselves as once they get too much technology, right? So the idea is there's a bunch of these possible filters, and maybe one of those is the reason we don't see life. And then also, again, the fear that we haven't hit the filter yet, and it's something that could, make us go extinct.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, I guess, like, I mean, I guess the idea of a filter, but I mean, really, it's just, I mean, all those things, I mean, maybe weren't necessary for survival, but I guess the, like, design, like, I mean, evolution in a way molded that. Could evolution have happened differently, and could we be a different intelligent life? Maybe. I mean, I'm not sold that there's like a single like, that happened. Like, all those steps have to happen, right?
Single form of intelligence. It could be something different intelligence than from human intelligence.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, I'm not sold. I mean, yeah. So I'm not sold it has to go a certain path. Like, yes, the exact process that made us is rare, but the exact, like, does the exact process need to happen?
Like, yeah, we don't know how many other ways it could potentially be done, right? So it's really hard to estimate.
Right. Yeah.
But like another thing is, I mean, the vast majority of new species aren't intelligent, right? Like, on one hand, as time has gone on, there's been like more intelligent animals have evolved, but sometimes people view evolution as like a progress, but like the vast majority of new species are still rather simple, and often things evolve to be simpler, not more complex. So like, you could make a pretty good argument that evolution doesn't really bias for intelligence per se. It's just like we had enough time that there's enough like genetic drift of organisms that we happened to get some that were smart enough. But so like, is intelligence even something that you would reliably evolve, like intelligence to the level of getting to space travel, right?
No, I mean, that's fair. I mean, I honestly do not know if this is true at all, but it's believable. So I don't know if either of you are familiar with the show Westworld.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the first season.
Yeah, so I think they say that there's a quote in that first season where they say, like, our intelligence evolved as like essentially, like, our intelligence evolved for the same reason like a peacock's like feathers, like tail feathers, evolved. Like, it was essentially just to attract mates and like help with reproduction and the continuation of the species. So like, intelligence isn't necessarily a necessity like that came about because of evolution. It's just something that
byproduct.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just helped with the, like, to attract, it helped with the mating process and the continuation of the species, and that's why we have it. So,
so everything is about sex.
Yes, well, I mean, not even, I mean, I guess, in the case of, like, species that need sex for reproduction, but I mean, I guess you could have a single, some type of species that, like, regenerates itself, right? Or so it continues life in a different way, and for that species it would be whatever allows for that regeneration. But so
earlier you mentioned I think the last question on this one, earlier you mentioned the speed of light, right, cannot be violated. We cannot travel faster than speed of light, but that's just theory, right? So technically that might not, potentially we could in the future maybe find out something, there's a way we can travel faster than the speed of light, right?
It's possible, but we have a lot of good evidence that says you can't. So and a lot of good theories that work well and seem to, but I mean, it's not like, we haven't like perfectly proven that you can't. I don't know if you ever can, right? Because there could always be this hypothetical other thing you do that somehow lets you achieve that, but
you just need to bend space.
Yeah,
space and time.
Yeah, that's right. If you bend space, you can go from A to B faster through.
So that's why that's kind of to your point of like time as a I think you talked about time earlier, but if you could travel out, that became irrelevant, right? Time scale.
Yeah, but now we have another highly improbable event that these intelligent aliens existed, and
That could do that.
And even another thing is, even if they could, like again, like unless they're like scanning every planet in the solar system, let's say they're just chilling in a random part of the galaxy, right? They're probably really far away. Even if they had a telescope that could see what people are doing on Earth, they would see like cavemen, right? Or maybe not even humans evolved yet. Depends how far they are in the galaxy. So like even if they can travel faster than the light, they would not be aware almost certainly that we have advanced to do anything beyond primitive civilization, just because the light coming from us would be, old. So like, so you could say where once we start beaming out radio signals, maybe those first radio signals will get, the intelligent aliens in some part of our galaxy to be like, oh shit, and maybe they can cheat the speed limit of light and then pop over. But even still, we'd be waiting for a while.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I guess this was a bust, but I tried.
So, well, that's good. Talking about aliens and then UFOs, right? So to prepare for like potentially alien invasion, U.S. government of course has started something called Space Force.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So what do you think about Space Force? Space Force.
Cool name.
Yeah.
All right. So here is actually, I have a quote from it. It says like, the U.S. Space Force is to defend our way of life on Earth, right? And when humankind asks, "What if?" the mission of Space Force is to be the answer. So I guess my question is like, what do they mean by "what if"? Right? The Space Force mission statement, kind of.
Read the "what if" part again.
Read the "what if" part. Oh, it said so. Okay, let me do the quote again. But so in the U.S. Space Force, we defend our way of life on Earth. When humankind asks, "What if?" the mission of Space Force is to be the answer. So what do they mean by the "what if"?
I think it sounds like they're just talking about like pushing the boundaries of like human knowledge and like what we've done, right? Like what was the old speech like, like it's kind of like going to the moon. Like, could we do that? Like, what if we could go to the moon or something like that, right? That was a big deal in the past. So to me,
Kennedy,
it sounds
the Kennedy speech.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of on that same lines of, just trying to do these grand things as an inspiration to the human race.
Right. No, I agree with that. I mean, because obviously going to the moon brought us a lot of technology that is useful in other areas. And I mean, so yeah, I guess just continuing to push what the species has done, I guess, is useful here on Earth or wherever we end up when the Earth is over.
Okay. I just thought simply that what they mean is that what if the humankind asks, what if alien exists, right? And then the Space Force want to be the answer to that existence, right?
Yeah.
No,
if aliens can travel over to us and they want to kill us, I think we're done, so I don't think there would be much that we could do.
We have Space Force. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Listen, I saw a documentary when I was 7 years old called Independence Day. And Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum saved us.
That's right. Just have to hack their computers. Clearly a feasible thing.
That's right. No, he managed to give them a virus. He figured out their systems in a day, and it's totally fine.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think there are a few Georgia Tech students recently joined Space Force too, right? So
I don't know what they really do. Like, what is the, I'm Googling it now, but
they work anything so they launch apparently they launch rockets, keep satellites safe and operational, and develop technology to defend life on Earth, I guess. Also, I think whatever is outside could be defended against other countries like doing stuff in the space, right? Outer space as well, I guess.
Right.
Do you think they're making technology to like be able to shoot down satellites really easily? Probably, right? So they can be like, oh, if China or Russia's satellites become a threat, you can just
No,
like maybe it's our own satellite with like a laser on it, and then it just like beams other satellites. I bet they're working on that.
DoD, if you're listening, are you working on it?
DoD. They're like, shit, how did this guy get this information? No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I assume, that like all of our communications are like critically depend on things in space. So I imagine that's right.
Is that true? Because don't you still have like internet cables crossing the Atlantic Ocean and shit? Isn't like a large portion of the internet just hardwired?
Maybe. I guess probably.
But I'm not saying there's not a lot of communication dependent on it, satellites, and like it would obviously cause huge problems if those were all taken out. But like, yeah, I thought the internet was actually still just hardwired.
Yeah, I'll go undersea, right? Like the cable, just undersea wire, right?
So, yeah, there's just massive wires that they just drop out of a boat.
Yeah.
Things take forever to change, so you're probably right. But I assume it's increasingly more, that they want
wireless.
Yeah, they want wireless, So.
Elon Musk has a company, right, trying to do like internet all over the globe with satellites, right?
Oh yeah, Starlink.
Yeah,
right?
It's supposed to have pretty good performance too. Because like if that gets working, then I mean,
it's working already. Actually, you can actually buy it now.
Can I?
Yeah,
Is it
you
good
can buy the
speed?
Starlink internet. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Starlink internet.
No, actually, me and Mike went to an event, a Georgia Tech social club event. One of the guy, he was talking about it. He actually got one and was testing it out.
Yeah. He said it wasn't as good as like if you pay for like a Verizon, like a good Verizon package or something, but he said it wasn't terrible.
On their website, they say 50 to 150 megabits per second with 20 to 40 millisecond latency, which is kind of, it's sort of like average-ish mediocre internet, but even in, that's not bad because like that's mediocre internet in like a densely populated area with a lot of infrastructure built, right? Like I assume you can get this anywhere. Then you could be in like the mountains and be like, here's my 25 millisecond connection, so you can play Counter-Strike in the Rocky Mountains or whatever. Like that's pretty good, and if you can make it better,
Yeah. I mean, that is depressing though. That like. You think about we have this new technology and it's like, well, we can play video games in more places.
Mike, that is one of the achievements of humankind, all right?
Yeah.
I can't wait for the first gamer on the moon.
Yeah, well, that's
He's going to have some lag, but, whatever.
Well, I mean, what's the, they hit a golf ball. I mean, or that's like the image that's often associated with like us getting to the moon is like,
oh, yeah.
So our games and our like push for excellence is a good distraction. So.
It's really what pushes humanity to the next level, I think.
Yeah.
I thought what drives technology on this stuff is porn, not games.
Right? All right, that's probably more true, but
I'm not convinced. I hear that, but I feel like pornography finds a way. Like, I feel like that's what sustains technology, like a certain technology. Like, I don't think the internet was designed like, oh, we need pornography. Like, to ease a way to disseminate it. Like, it was obviously like designed for communication between like universities at first and stuff like that. But I mean, I think the reason it was like very widely adopted, and why it sustained as well is probably because of the pornography.
It helps supercharge adoption, right?
Right.
Like that really speeds it up because it's we'll call it a high motivator for many people.
Right. I mean, going back to you're talking about biology imperative, whatever about evolution, right? Now you don't need intelligence to whatever drive motivation is was procreation, right? Sex, right? So yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think survival drives everything. So it's like, I mean, so it's like, I mean, it's survival of the species at a fundamental level.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so if you can live forever on your own, I mean, if species is immortal, like they may not have the same like reproduction drive that humans have. I mean, if we programmed a robot to be like us, but they just were, they would instead of a sex drive, we gave it like a, you need to get new parts drive. I don't know. I mean, like they could be indistinguishable, but like rather than, like wanting to have sex, they would want to go to Jiffy Lube or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no one's gonna do that though. Like even before we had computers, people were like, that would be a dangerous idea, right?
Yes. No, I mean, I agree, but I guess just thinking of, I'm actually the reason I brought up Westworld is I'm watching it for the first time, so that's why
Right. Should humans, once we start colonizing space, should we seed a bunch of places with life, kind of kickstart it, and then leave weird monuments around so that when eventually intelligent life forms, they're like, what the hell is this? It's like, so maybe aliens don't exist for us, but we could be the advanced aliens for a bunch of other planets.
Oh,
Thoughts on that?
Nice.
I'm down for it. I would say before that, before we see obviously not one generation. So I'm saying we as a species see like how these different planets play out. Would it be easier to do that, or would it be easier to design like super high fidelity, like simulations where the artificial age, like, and just like run them at like top speed so we can actually run experiments?
Probably the latter, but I don't think it would replace exactly the chance to do it for real, right? Be like, hey, let's like start life on this planet and just see where it goes.
All right. So actually, I want to bring the conversation back to Space Force.
Okay.
So to conclude this conversation, so actually, I was looking for about anything about news about Space Force, and I found one article about a lieutenant colonel. He actually got suspended recently because he said something on a podcast. So yeah, be careful. Don't say controversial stuff on podcasts. Otherwise, you're going to get canceled. So yeah, he got suspended because he was talking about something called, he was criticized something called critical racial theory. Because he says, I think military try to teach diversity, equality, and inclusion. And his main argument is that that actually focus on diversity and equity and inclusion should not be the goal of the military, basically, because the military try to kill people, be lethal, right? So to focus on inclusion and diversity might not be the right thing to focus on, right? And he also, main thing he talked about, like critical race theory, he was talking about is basically is a theory that stems from Marxism, right? So that's one that's which he's talking about so anyway, that's what his main criticism. So I guess my question is I actually never really heard of critical race theory before. So any thoughts?
This is a very different topic.
Yeah, this is a very different topic.
No, this is related to Space Force, but yeah, anyway.
Only by the thinnest line.
I heard of that story, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I heard about him. Because I think they were talking about it on one of the podcasts I listened to.
So what is critical race theory, though? Have you guys heard it before?
I Googled it once because it's something that's been coming up more. I'm not really qualified to talk about it, but from the quick overview I read, I mean, I don't even know how to. I would say it does seem to have some issues, even if. Yeah,
I mean, is it just no? I mean, I don't know about it. I never investigated it entirely either. But it's just the idea. I think that basically because of histories, obviously slavery, 300, 400, the history of slavery has made divisions economic, obviously, in those types of divisions, down racial lines. So differences amongst races and various categories people look at are due to those types of histories. So and I think it's they want to teach that, teach it in schools, that's why those differences exist or something like that. I mean, I think, but as that, I guess, Matt, what you've seen.
Here, I'll just read you the Wikipedia summary, right? Because we're going to be source based here. Critical race
Yeah.
theory examines social, cultural, and legal issues as they relate to race and racism, which is a very neutral, broad. We're just gonna like look at this thing. I think a core idea is that it really tries to focus more on social structures, like institutions and structural issues, rather than say, you know, what individuals believe or things like that to some degree. At least, you know, skimming this.
Okay. Sounds good. I think we might leave this as a set future topic. You know, we can go deeper critical race theory. But I do have one question for you guys, is because his main arguments, right? He say, oh, critical theory is based on Marxism, which is bad, right? So which made me thinking, like, why Americans hate Marxism or socialism or communism? Is it because the countries that adopted them happen to be Americans' enemies, or is it because the ideas are just fundamentally terrible?
I would say it's more that the ideas are fundamentally opposed to a lot of the like core beliefs of American society.
Mm-hmm.
The ideas are also terrible. Sadly, like the people who seem to rage against it the most often don't even understand what it is. Like there's a lot of people on like the far right who like will call anything and everything that the government does socialism, and then they're like, you know, so it's bad. It's like that's not what socialism is, and it is bad. Like it's a bad idea. It doesn't work as an economic theory, which causes a lot of problems. But no, I think critical race theories kind of similarly become like this new boogeyman, which I'm not sure if it's really that big of a deal. Like, I mean, maybe it's a bad idea, maybe not. But like schools should be able to discuss ideas in general, right? But it's become like this really big thing where everyone's freaking out about it. And I don't know. I haven't seen anything to suggest it's so dangerous.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Is it possible you are brainwashed by American education to hate socialism, Marxism, though?
It is possible. It's also possible that I've, you know, looked at the history of every society that using it pretty much failing to, you know, produce enough or equivalent to other societies that use a better economic system. I've also read some of his ideas, and there's major gaping flaws in the theory. And Marx predicted a bunch of things, and most of them didn't come true. Like all of his concrete predictions failed.
What are the predictions?
All right, this isn't much about aliens, but okay. So Marx predicted a few things. One, he said the rate of profit for companies would fall to zero because his theory was, capitalists would compete until the profits go down to nothing, and this would, you know, create this tension that would cause the collapse of capitalism. That didn't happen, right? We see people every day talking about how mad they are that Amazon profits so much. So, you know, didn't happen. Second thing, he said, the wages of laborers would fall to sustenance levels, basically just the lowest amount people can survive, which again didn't happen. Since his time, wages and benefits and the standard of living of basic laborers has increased dramatically, like way past what he could probably have ever imagined. So, you know, that's a big failure. Those are just two very easy, very concrete ones. There's other ones about things like the labor theory of value. It gets complicated because people will be like, the labor doesn't impact a price. But Marx was like, technically, he's like, the labor theory of value it was about the value of a good, not its price. And he said those were two separate things, but he never really described how he's going to connect them well. And this is like an issue that's debated by both people who like agree with his work and don't, like how you're supposed to connect Marx's value with price. And, you know, but in at least some of his simpler examples, he basically was like, use the value as a price. So if you think the price of a good has anything to do with the labor that went into it, that's very wrong. And if you try to make an economy around that, it's not going to work well. So those are a few examples of things.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at the time, Marx thought he was in late stage. He thought he was in late stage capitalism. Like he was like seeing the end, that any day now it's going to be like the revolution. Everything's it's going to collapse and people are going to overthrow. And like things have changed dramatically since then, mostly for the better. So I feel like anyone who takes like a genuine critical look at it would be like, even if you like some of his core ideas, and even if you can say he pointed out some legitimate problems, like it's a lot easier to point out problems than to make a better like system, right? So
Yeah.
even if you can agree he maybe pointed out some issues of capitalism, like a lot of those have been improved, and it's a lot, and the ideas he had to try to make a better way didn't work. I feel like history shows that, I would feel pretty clearly, but obviously there's disagreements.
Yes.
What was the time that he was leaving? Why did he think that he was the end of capitalism? Like, what was it? Like,
I would say the people who think follow him now think it's the end of capitalism too. I mean,
Yeah.
they always think it's the end of capitalism.
Did he
It's been
leave
the
in
end
a
of
dark-
capitalism for 150 years. That's been right around the corner.
Okay. I thought maybe he lived in a very dark age. Like maybe there's a lot of disease and stuff like that, and a lot of people die or something.
I mean, you go back 130 years, even in the U.S., right? And you have the average factory workers like 6 days a week, 10 hours, shit conditions, way dangerous, right? Like, I mean, it was way worse back then. That's true. So, so I mean, some ways you can look, when you try to get his perspective, you can understand him being like, "This is shit. Like, we need something else." But a different way forward was found from what he suggested. And I can't fault the man for trying to come up with his ideal utopian way things would work. But it doesn't.
Yeah. But it's kind of interesting. Those ideas actually is very, very influential, right? Like China adopted, Russia adopted, and it caused so much suffering, I guess, actually, of people, right? So,
yeah, because in both cases, they spent so much. A lot of Marx's stuff too was he wasn't very specific about what you're supposed to do. It was like general ideas. So so in both cases, they spent decades trying to implement, his ideals, and in many cases, sort of rolled things back to more, we'll say, normal, traditional, capitalistic approaches, because that's just what worked, and they couldn't make the Marxian kind of ideas function. I mean, obviously, we all know Mao died, and then China started liberalizing a shit ton, and then that's when its huge economic growth shot off, right? So yeah, it's interesting.
Sounds
Not
good.
anything to do with space aliens, unless space aliens, come and they have socialism, maybe.
Yeah, sounds good. I think that's anyway.
Going on a tangent. It might be interesting to have someone actually try to read about critical race theory to get more than a very surface level idea of what it is. The Wikipedia article says it's against liberalism, so I assume it must be bad then, as a proud liberal. But we could consider taking a harder look at it.
Yeah. I thought conservative hate it. I thought it's because it's too liberal or something. I don't know. So.
Okay. So here's the thing. There's two ways liberal is used. One is it's just the more left of the conservative right? But if you look at liberalism as like a political ideology or philosophy, it is separate from leftism, which is what like supports things like socialism, communism, etc. And leftists hate liberals. But then conservatives don't see a difference between liberals and leftists, even though they are very different. So this is a common trope in American politics. Once you understand that, a lot more things will be clear.
I just combine those two together. I don't distinguish them like liberal and left, right? Extreme left. I just kind of they're the same thing to me. So
a lot of people do. So liberals like capitalism. Leftists don't. That's probably the easiest way to draw the line.
Okay. Got you. Good.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can look at that. I mean, it is barking up a whole tree of, potentially interesting topics, but
controversial topic as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike's starting to sweat. I can see him being like, my job. He's like, I make good money. I don't know if I want to say anything.
But yes, we can look into it. Yeah, we can look into it. So.
All right. This is man. Cut.
All right. So, yeah. Is there anything else that we wanted to bring up today? I mean, I figured aliens would be. I guess I was hoping that we might have had more. We've been talking over an hour, so it's fine. But I mean, I guess basically the what we came across is aliens probably haven't been here. There are aliens somewhere. The chances of us encountering them are minimal to none. And Yeah, and basically people who think or like really want there to be aliens are hoping to justify justify their own intelligence and like identity by being smarter than everyone and knowing the government's lying to them. So
Well, one question. Shu, you mentioned earlier that you kind of wanted to buy in. Did you have anything else that was there anything that made you think maybe this is real, or is it just like you think it'd be fun, so you wish it was real? But
Oh, aliens?
yeah.
Oh, I used to buy in the argument of the mathematical equation, right? The probability of I do, but I used to buy in that argument, right? If there's so many trillions of planets out there, probability speaking, one of them is going to have intelligent life like Earth, right? So we cannot be the only one, right? So I used to buy in that, but I don't think anymore. But also, I don't really care as much. I guess right now I don't care as much as I used to.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I mean, I think the people who are like married, like the people who are very much against there being intelligent life elsewhere and like need there not to be, I feel like are just like doing it based on religion, right? Because that steps on like God made us in His image type thing. But
yeah, it would be. It's gonna the day we find like confirm life elsewhere will be pretty crazy. I don't know. I guess maybe it'll be like the moon where it like shocks everyone that we did it, like walked on the moon, but then we just kind of go back to life like, well, whatever, like that happened now, but at least for a little while.
I mean, I think the key thing is like, yes, if we receive a transmission from like another intelligent species or something, like then that'll be a big deal. But I mean, we've already had like, I feel like we've already encountered like, basic life elsewhere. So I mean, unless it's something like they show up on our doorstep, I feel like we probably will just go back and be like, oh well, this is sort of what we expected. But,
hold on, you said we've encountered basic life elsewhere?
I mean, I feel like haven't there been like single-celled organisms like in the ocean, or don't they? Isn't it almost guaranteed like on like Jupiter's moons or something, like under the ice, like there's oceans that they're like these must have something.
I know those are like really thought to be super high probability things, and they're going to try to send missions. But as far as I know, we haven't actually confirmed any type of life elsewhere. I feel like I would have heard about that one.
Okay, maybe it is not confirmed, but yes, I think they are sending, rovers or whatever.
Is it Europa? Is that it?
I think Europa's the one, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So, all right. This episode or meeting has run its course. So, is there anything else that anyone wants to say before I take us off?
I'm good.
All right.